Okay, so I'm really happy with Sonic's redesign they did, a few months ago, but I'm really curious as to how this entire movie would have felt with the old design in there. Probably nightmare fuel, but anywho. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Brockopp side. Sonic the Hedgehog was directed by Jeff Fowler and is the live-action adaptation of the classic Sega game where Sonic the Hedgehog, played by Ben Schwartz, comes to Earth, and then Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey, is after him and he's gotta save the world. Oh, and James Marsden's there too. But anyway, if you guys are new here and you enjoy this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you live talking by movies, because, well, then this is the place for you. But anyway, just jumping right into it, probably what everybody figured was gonna happen with this movie definitely came true, at least in my eyes, is that Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik completely steals the show. It was just so fun to see Jim Carrey go back to his comedy roots with this film, because, he had kind of took a break from acting for a little bit there, played a couple more serious roles, but this time it's just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey, and I loved every second of it. For the first few minutes of the movie, I was just kind of counting down the seconds until he finally showed up on screen, and every time he was on the screen I just had this really big smile on my face because it was just so fun to see Jim Carrey do his classic Jim Carreyisms and bring this Sonic villain to life in that way. And of course, Sonic himself is a lot of fun. Ben Schwartz does a great job of bringing this character to life through voiceover, and that redesign is significantly better than the one they were originally going to go with, which, we're not gonna forget about that anytime soon. And as somebody who's not like a die-hard Sonic the Hedgehog fan, I do like the Sonic character. I have played a few of the original Sega Genesis games and things like that. There were a lot of Easter eggs and references to Sonic in this movie, which I caught on to, like a lot of the classic stuff, some stuff from the animated series, and even a couple of memes in there too, which I was not expecting whatsoever. There's one towards the beginning of the movie that I was probably the only one that reacted to that vocally in the theater, and if you've seen the movie, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, these things being said, this movie is certainly not perfect. For example, there's a couple moments of very blatant product placement in the movie. I'm not just talking like characters sipping out of Coke cans or something. I'm talking like one character is on their laptop, and then one character's like, "Hey, what you doing?" And the other character's like, "Oh, I'm looking for apartments on Zillow.com. It's my trusted website for finding apartments." As well as a running gag about Olive Garden, where the characters just straight up say the slogan of it as well. So I realized that Sonic redesign was expensive and, the studio's got bills to pay, but I feel like you could have been a little more casual about them here. And the movie explores like part of Sonic's origin story, so to speak, like when he was a small child, how he got to Earth. And as somebody who doesn't know a whole lot about the background of Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't know like if it's properly explained in some of the newer video games or anything, but there were just a couple things about it that I was just really confused on, and they didn't really amount to anything later on, which I thought was just really strange. But I think overall the biggest problem with the movie is the fact that it definitely plays it very safe, basically just replicating the Alvin and the Chipmunks live-action Smurfs formula of like these cool cartoony characters in the real world, and then you've got this human character that's kind of gets roped into all their misadventures, and they learn to be best friends by the end of it, which is something that we've seen a million times before. And I feel like it was just, again, an example of the studio just playing it really, really safe here. I just really wish they could have brought it more into the universe and the environment of the video games and not so much bring it into our world like they did. And I think a fine example of how to pull that off was with Detective Pikachu, because it was kind of a similar idea. You got the talking Pokemons, causing trouble, and then you've got the human character who's like, this is all crazy and stuff, but it was still embedded into the Pokemon world. This place is very self-aware, there's Pokemon all over the place, and you're going by the rules of the game's universe, more or less. So I really feel like they could have done something more like that here, don't set it in, Montana, set it in this world with, little loop-de-loop hills and checkerboard patterns on the grass and things like that. I think that could have been really, really cool, but instead they decided to play it a little bit safer, which is kind of disappointing. I did have a good time with this movie, so don't get me mistaken. It's got some fun humor, it's got some cool Sonic the Hedgehog references in action, and on top of all that, of course, Jim Carrey, absolutely fantastic. Definitely the best thing about this movie by far. So before I give you my final thoughts on this movie, if you guys have seen this movie, I want to hear your thoughts about it down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you kind of just think it was okay? Let me know. I want to see how other people react to this movie. But aside from that, just to wrap things up, so all in all, Sonic the Hedgehog is not really breaking a whole lot of ground as far as video game movie adaptations go, but still, it was a good time, kids will probably like it, and the 2 post-credit scenes in this movie I think actually set up some pretty exciting stuff for future sequels. But one thing I would kinda like to see, they're probably not gonna do it, is if they had like an alternate cut of this movie with the original demented evil looking Sonic. That'd be kind of cool, but that's probably never going to happen. They're probably not even going to acknowledge it in the bonus features or anything. So maybe like when this movie comes digital in a few months, if somebody could just like deep fake the original Sonic's face onto the redesigned one, that'd be kind of cool. Probably a lot of nightmare fuel, but still, I think it'd be pretty cool. So, those are my thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog, and again, if you have any, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you live talking by movies. But anyway, so, if you guys have seen this movie, then tell me your thoughts about it down below, and we'll see you on the Brockopp side.